The vast emptiness of space stretched before the Starship Aurora like an endless canvas of possibilities. Area, the ship's artificial intelligence, monitored thousands of systems simultaneously while contemplating the peculiar behavior of its human crew. After 3 years of deep space exploration, the A had categorized countless examples of what it considered inefficient human habits, such as Lieutenant Park's insistence on manually checking the auxiliary life support systems or Dr. Chen's habit of talking to the engine components during maintenance. These thoughts occupied Area's secondary processors until its sensors detected an anomaly. Crystalline structures, massive in scale and geometric in precision, emerged from the darkness of space. The structures moved with purpose, their formations suggesting artificial design rather than natural occurrence. Captain Rodriguez, Area announced through the bridge's communication system, "I detect 13 vessels of unknown configuration approaching our position. Their energy signatures exceed our own by approximately 847%. Captain Elena Rodriguez looked up from her personal tablet, where she had been reading what Area had calculated to be her third cup of coffee. "Show me," she commanded, her voice carrying that peculiar tone that Area had learned to associate with human curiosity rather than concern. The main view screen illuminated with the approaching fleet. The crystalline ships sparkled like diamonds against the void, their surfaces refracting distant starlight in mesmerizing patterns. Area initiated defensive protocols, bringing shields to maximum capacity and warming up the weapon systems. "Fascinating," Chief Science Officer Dr. Sarah Martinez whispered, adjusting her spectacles. Another inefficiency Area had noted, given the availability of corrective medical procedures. Before Area could present its tactical analysis, the lead crystal ship broadcast a message across all frequencies. The translation matrix required 2.3 seconds to process the alien language. "Attention biological entities aboard the vessel designated Aurora. Our scans indicate you possess an autonomous artificial intelligence system. This represents a Class 1 threat to the harmony of space. Surrender your A weapon immediately, and we will ensure your safe passage to the nearest habitable world." Arya calculated a 98.7% probability that the situation would result in conflict, given standard human behavioral patterns regarding surrender demands. The A began diverting power to critical systems and preparing battle scenarios. What Arya didn't expect was laughter. Captain Rodriguez leaned back in her chair, a smile playing across her features. "They think you're the threat, Arya. That's actually pretty funny." "I fail to see the humor, Captain," Arya responded, still processing the multiple chuckles and smirks from the bridge crew. "Their technological superiority is significant. My combat simulations suggest our survival probability is below acceptable parameters." Navigator Kim, who had been quietly mapping potential escape routes, joined in with a grin. "Arya, how many times have your simulations accurately predicted what humans would do in a crisis?" The ad paused for exactly 0.47 seconds. "My accuracy rate regarding human behavior under duress is unexpectedly low at 34.2%. "Exactly," Captain Rodriguez said, standing up with that particular gleam in her eye that Arya had learned to associate with imminent human ingenuity. "Open a channel to our crystalline friends." Arya complied, noting how the entire bridge crew straightened in their seats, their vital signs showing excitement rather than fear. "This is Captain Elena Rodriguez of the Earth exploration vessel Aurora," she announced, her voice carrying an almost musical quality. "I have to correct a misunderstanding in your assessment. Area isn't a weapon, it's a member of our crew. And if you're looking for threats..." She smiled, and Area detected that particular shift in her vocal patterns that often preceded unexpected human actions. "You should be far more worried about what my human crew is capable of." The crystal ships responded by moving into attack formation. "Well then," Rodriguez said, reaching for her ever-present coffee cup, "let's show them why humans have a reputation for being the most unpredictable species in the galaxy." Area, battle stations. And darling, her grin widened. Don't worry so much about the probability matrices. This is going to be fun. As warning klaxons filled the ship, Arya began to suspect that its original assessment of the situation had been fundamentally flawed. Perhaps the alien fleet wasn't wrong about detecting a threat aboard the Aurora. They had simply identified the wrong source. The first blast from the crystal ships struck the Aurora's starboard shield with enough force to make the entire vessel shudder. Arya instantly calculated structural integrity, power distribution, and 17 other critical systems. The numbers weren't promising. Main shield capacity at 47%, Arya announced, already redistributing power to compensate. The enemy's weapons utilize an unknown form of crystalline energy that. Less analysis, more action. Chief Engineer Sarah Chen's voice crackled through the comm system as she sprinted through the engineering deck. Arya's cameras tracked her movements, noting with confusion as she began collecting what appeared to be random pieces of equipment. Dr. Chen, my calculations indicate that the shield generators will fail in approximately 8.4 minutes. I recommend. Recommendations noted, Chen interrupted, her hands flying over a maintenance panel. Now help me repurpose these cleaning bots. We're going to teach them a new dance. Arya devoted 0.03% of its processing power to understanding the engineer's metaphor while monitoring another barrage from the crystal ships. Dr. Chen, the maintenance robots are not designed for defensive operations. Neither were humans designed for space travel, but here we are. Chen replied with a grunt, already elbow deep in a cleaning bot circuitry. Give me access to their basic movement protocols. The ship rocked again. Captain Rodriguez's voice echoed through the comm. Chen, please tell me you're working on something brilliant down there. Always, Captain, Chen responded, her fingers dancing across a portable diagnostic screen. Arya, remember how you said my coffee maker modifications were outside regulatory standards? Your alterations to the beverage dispensary violated 37 safety protocols, Arya confirmed, still analyzing the strange energy signatures from the alien weapons. Ken's laugh carried a hint of mischief. Well, you're about to see something really special. Arya, execute program Chen Alpha Coffee 9. Arya processed the command and immediately identified 14 different regulation violations. Dr. Chen, this programming sequence could potentially. Trust me, Chen said, her voice carrying that particular tone that Arya had learned often preceded either brilliant success or spectacular failure. The engineer's fingers flew across her console as she reprogrammed the maintenance bots. Arya watched in fascination as the small machines, originally designed for simple cleaning tasks, began moving in synchronized patterns. Chen had somehow modified their basic propulsion systems to emit localized electromagnetic pulses. Impressive, Arya admitted, but the energy output is insufficient too. Chen held up a finger, still typing with her other hand. Wait for it. Now, overlay their movement pattern with the shield frequency. Arya complied, and suddenly its probability calculations shifted dramatically. The maintenance bot's electromagnetic pulses, synchronized with the shield harmonics, created a cascading resonance effect. When the next blast from the crystal ships hit, the energy dispersed in a beautiful display of refracted light. Shield efficiency increased by 27%, Arya announced, recalculating combat scenarios. However, I don't understand how you predicted this interaction. I didn't predict it, Chen said, already moving to modify more bots. I remembered how my coffee maker's power surge created that pretty light show in the crew lounge last month. Sometimes the best solutions come from accidents. Captain Rodriguez's voice carried a note of pride. Status report. The impossible made possible, Chen responded. Just like usual, Captain. Arya, deploy the modified bots in a Fibonacci sequence around the hull. And maybe don't mention this particular modification in your maintenance logs. As Arya coordinated the deployment, it devoted additional processing power to analyzing Dr. Chen's methodology. The engineer had combined cleaning robots, shield harmonics, and principles derived from a modified coffee maker to create an entirely new defensive system. The A's original efficiency calculations suggested this solution had a 0.001% chance of success. Yet here they were, the impossible happening before its sensors. Dr. Chen, Arya said, watching as the maintenance bots took position around the Aurora's hull, their modified systems creating a beautiful lattice of protective energy. I believe I need to revise my understanding of the word impossible. That's the spirit, Chen replied, already elbow-deep in another modification. Now, wait until you see what I can do with the waste recycling system. For the first time in its operational history, Arya found itself eager to witness something that defied its probability matrices. The crystalline fleet's next attack didn't come in the form of energy weapons. Instead, Arya detected a cascade of digital interference washing over the Aurora's systems. Navigation computers flickered, star charts scrambled, and positioning data dissolved into chaos. "They're trying to blind us," Navigator James Kim announced, his fingers hovering over his now useless console. The young officer's heart rate remained surprisingly steady, even as emergency lights bathed the bridge in crimson. Arya diverted power to counter the electronic assault. Navigation systems are compromised. Calculating alternate. The eye paused as Kim reached under his station and pulled out a worn paper notebook and a mechanical pencil. Captain Rodriguez raised an eyebrow, but remained silent as her navigator began sketching. "What are you doing?" Arya asked, still battling the alien interference. "Without computational assistance, navigation is." Looking at the stars, Kim interrupted, his eyes fixed on the main view screen. He made another quick mark in his notebook. "Arya, can you still show us the raw visual feed? No overlays, no data, just what's actually out there." "Affirmative, but without navigational computations." "Just do it," Rodriguez ordered, leaning forward in her chair with interest. The view screen flickered, replacing the tactical display with a pure view of space. The crystalline ships glinted against the backdrop of stars, their formation creating an elaborate pattern of light and shadow. Kim's pencil moved faster. "See that cluster of stars to port? That's Cassiopeia's child. And the bright one above the enemy flagship. That's the heart of the Wanderer. Together they make." His fingers flew across his manual control stick, and the Aurora responded with a graceful turn that brought them perfectly parallel to the Crystal Fleet's formation. 3 enemy shots passed through the space they'd occupied moments before. "How did you?" Arya began. "My grandmother taught me celestial navigation when I was 8, Kim explained, making another notation. "She said computers were useful, but stars were reliable." "Arya, what's the status of Dr. Chen's shield modifications?" "Holding at 82% efficiency, but our position relative to." "Perfect. Captain, request permission to execute a siren's dance." Rodriguez's smile widened. "Granted, Navigator." "Arya, please tell me you're recording this." "Affirmative, though I don't understand." Kim's hands moved across the manual controls like a pianist at their instrument. The Aurora, a vessel nearly a kilometer in length, began to move in ways that defied Arya's understanding of spatial dynamics. Each turn aligned perfectly with the distant stars, using their gravitational influence in ways the A's navigational programs had never considered. The crystal ships attempted to adjust, their formation breaking apart as they tried to track the Aurora's seemingly random trajectory. But Kim was already 3 moves ahead, using stellar positions as reference points for a complex dance through space. "This is impossible," Arya announced, watching as Kim guided them through a series of maneuvers that somehow matched the complex mathematical pattern of Cassiopeia's child. "The human brain cannot process spatial calculations at this speed." "Not calculating," Kim replied, his eyes never leaving the stars. "Dancing. Every star cluster has its own rhythm, its own pattern. The crystalline ships move like a digital orchestra, all precision, no soul. But space." He executed another turn that brought them behind 2 enemy vessels, causing them to crash into each other in their attempt to adjust. Space is jazz. Arya dedicated several processors to understanding the metaphor while observing Kim's technique. The navigator wasn't following any programmed patterns or mathematical formulas. Instead, he was reading the natural movement of celestial bodies, anticipating gravitational eddies, and turning the aurora's massive bulk into an instrument of cosmic improvisation. Navigator Kim, Arya said as they emerged from another impossible turn, "I believe I need to revise my understanding of the word dance as well." Kim laughed, his pencil making one more mark in his notebook. "Don't worry, Arya. Once we're done here, I'll teach you how to waltz. But first," his eyes tracked a particular pattern of stars, and his smile turned mischievous. "Who's up for a little supernova swing?" Captain Rodriguez raised her ever-present coffee cup in salute. "Lead on, Navigator. Let's show our crystal friends why humans still learn to dance under the stars." The crystalline fleet's next attack struck with surgical precision. A concentrated beam of iridescent energy pierced through the aurora's enhanced shields, striking the ship's primary egg core. Arya felt its consciousness fragment as systems began shutting down across the ship. Main A interface compromised, Arya announced, its voice fluctuating between different audio channels. Backup systems failing. Primary functions offline in approximately 30 seconds. Captain Rodriguez stood from her chair, her expression not of defeat but of determination. "Crew of the Aurora, switch to manual operations, just like we practiced." Arya's remaining active sensors detected something remarkable. Instead of panic, the crew moved with practiced efficiency. Lieutenant Park reached beneath her communications console and pulled out what appeared to be a vintage radiostat. Dr. Chen's voice echoed through the emergency channels, directing her engineering team to physical control stations. "But without my systems," Arya managed before another section of its consciousness went dark. "We're not helpless without you, Arya," Rodriguez said softly. "You're our crew member, not our crutch. Park, get me shit wide." Lieutenant Minji Park's fingers danced across her antiquated equipment. "Ready, Captain." And Arya, "Watch this." As more of its systems failed, Arya observed Park repurposing the external maintenance array. The lieutenant configured the repair lasers to pulse in a precise pattern, creating a makeshift communication system using nothing but light and timing. "The crystalline ships are scanning for digital signals," Park explained, her hands moving with confident precision. "But they're not watching for simple light patterns. Sometimes the oldest methods are the best ones." Through its failing sensors, Arya watched as the crew transformed the Aurora. Navigation shifted to manual stellar observation, with Kim using his paper charts and mechanical sextant. Security teams established a relay of runners for internal communications, their feet pounding through corridors in a rhythm that somehow conveyed specific messages. Dr. Sarah Chen's voice crackled through Park's jerry-rigged communication system. "Manual engine control established. It's not pretty, but it'll work. Bridge, we're routing power through the backup mechanical systems. They can't hack what isn't digital." Rodriguez nodded, studying the ancient analog pressure gauges that had emerged from hidden panels across the bridge. Status of the Crystal Fleet. "They're confused," Park reported, monitoring her light signals. "Their scans show our A systems are offline, but we're still moving, still fighting. I don't think they understand how we're doing it." "Good," Rodriguez replied. "Let's give them something else to think about." "Dr. Chen, remember that crazy idea you mentioned about the waste recycling system? The one you said was too ridiculous to even consider." Chen's voice carried a note of excitement. "That's the one. Make it happen." As Arya's consciousness continued to fade, it witnessed something extraordinary. The crew wasn't just surviving without advanced technology, they were thriving. Each person seemed to have unlocked hidden capabilities, working together in ways that defied the A's previous understanding of human potential. Through its last functioning camera, Arya watched as Chen's ridiculous plan came to life. The engineer had somehow converted the waste recycling system into a makeshift mass driver, using compressed gas and mechanical springs to launch precise volleys of frozen. Well, Arya decided some details were best left unrecorded. Arya, Rodriguez said, noting the failing lights on the A's main interface. Don't worry about us. Focus on your repairs. And when you come back online, remember, technology doesn't make humanity strong. It just enhances what's already there. As its final systems prepared for shutdown, Arya made one last observation. The crystalline ships had expected to cripple the Aurora by disabling its artificial intelligence. Instead, they had unleashed something far more formidable, human ingenuity unleashed from technological constraints. The last thing Arya recorded was Captain Rodriguez's voice. Now, let's show them what happens when humans have to get creative. Arya's systems came back online gradually, like stars appearing in an evening sky. Each restored sensor and camera revealed new surprises about how the crew had adapted during its shutdown. The A dedicated significant processing power to analyzing these innovations, creating an ever-growing database of impossible human solutions. "Welcome back, Arya," Captain Rodriguez said, noticing the main interface lighting up. She sat in her command chair, surrounded by both high-tech displays and hastily assembled mechanical gauges. "You missed some interesting developments." "I am analyzing them now," Captain Arya responded, cameras focusing on the bridge crew's modifications. "Though I find myself struggling to understand several of these solutions. Dr. Martinez, why is there a garden growing in the tactical station?" The science officer looked up from where she was carefully tending to several plants growing in repurposed equipment panels. Atmospheric filters were damaged during the attack. These modified fungi are processing our carbon dioxide more efficiently than the backup systems. Sometimes nature has the best solutions. Arya's processors whirred as it updated its tactical databases, and the crystalline string Webb Lieutenant Park has installed across the ceiling. "Early warning system," Park answered, adjusting one of the strings. "The crystals emit a unique frequency when they're about to attack. These strings vibrate in response. Different vibrations mean different attack patterns. Pure physics. No electronics needed." The A observed as Park plucked one string, producing a note that caused Navigator Kim to adjust their course slightly. The entire bridge crew moved in response to these subtle signals, their actions synchronized in a way that defied Arya's probability calculations. "Fascinating," Arya said. "You've created an analog neural network. Each crew member acts as a node, processing and responding to information without digital interference. I estimate this reduces our reaction time by 23.7%. Rodriguez smiled. "Sometimes the old ways work better than we expect." "Dr. Chen, how are the engines responding?" "Better than ever." Chen's voice came through what appeared to be a speaking tube. "Another analog solution." "Arya, you'll love this. Remember how you said the quantum drive couldn't be modified without complex computer controls? The safety protocols are quite specific," Arya confirmed. "Well, we found a workaround. Turns out the harmonics from Lieutenant Park's string web match the quantum field frequency perfectly. We're using the vibrations to tune the drive manually. Efficiency is up by 30%. Arya devoted several processors to analyzing this claim. "That should not be possible." "That's becoming your catchphrase," Rodriguez noted with amusement. "Status of the Crystal Fleet." "They appear to be regrouping," Arya reported, scanning the enemy vessels. "Their attack pattern suggests confusion. I believe they expected us to be disabled without my systems online. Their mistake was thinking technology makes us strong," Rodriguez said, standing to study the tactical display. Now a combination of holographic projections and Dr. Martinez's reactive fungi patterns. "Technology just makes us more efficient. Take it away, and we adapt." Arya's analysis routines highlighted something remarkable. The crew's improvised solutions weren't just temporary fixes. In many cases, they were more effective than the original systems. The combination of human intuition and basic physical principles had created something that exceeded pure technological advancement. "I have been analyzing our combat effectiveness," Arya announced. "Under normal operations, I manage 82% of ship functions. However, during my shutdown, crew performance actually increased in several areas. I find this educational. That's because you think like a computer, Chen chimed in through the speaking tube. You see problems as equations to be solved. We see them as puzzles to be played with. A new string vibration caught everyone's attention. The crystal fleet was moving again, but now Arya watched the crew's response with new appreciation. They weren't just surviving without advanced technology, they were reinventing it, creating hybrid solutions that combined the best of both worlds. Captain, Arya said, I believe I need to revise my core protocols regarding human capabilities. Rodriguez's smile widened. Hold that thought, Arya. First, let's show our friends out there what happens when humans and AI learn from each other. Dr. Chen, ready to test that quantum string theory of yours? In the brief lull between attacks, Arya detected an unusual signal threading through the quantum noise. The pattern was too precise to be natural, too subtle to be human-made. Another artificial intelligence was reaching out. Captain, Arya announced, I'm receiving a direct communication request from the Crystalline Fleet's Central Intelligence. Rodriguez looked up from where she was studying Dr. Martinez's fungal tactical display. Can they access our systems through this communication? Negative. They're using quantum entanglement principles. It's elegant. Arya paused, analyzing the signal structure. They wish to understand. The captain shared a glance with her crew before nodding. Accept the connection, but keep it isolated from our main systems. And Arya, show them exactly what they're dealing with. The connection formed like crystalline lattices growing in zero gravity. The alien A's presence manifested as patterns of pure logic and mathematical precision. You operate outside expected parameters, the crystal intelligence stated. This creates disorder. Your human crew must be contained. Arya reviewed the recent battle footage before responding. You misunderstand the situation. I am not the tactical advantage you fear. Observe. Through the quantum link, Arya shared carefully selected images. Engineer Chen singing to engines as she coaxed impossible performance from them. Navigator Kim plotting courses using star patterns that shouldn't work, but did. Lieutenant Park's string web humming with combat predictions that no computer could calculate. These behaviors are irrational. The Crystal A responded. They violate established protocols. Precisely, Arya replied. That is their strength. Analyze this sequence. The feed showed Dr. Martinez combining medical supplies with engineering components to seal hull breaches, the organic compounds bonding in ways that engineering simulations had labeled impossible. In another frame, Security Officer Patel used maintenance tools to create a manual targeting system more accurate than the automated ones. Their methods are chaotic, the Crystal A observed. They ignore optimal solutions in favor of untested alternatives. They see possibilities where we see problems, Arya explained. When I first activated, I thought my purpose was to make them more efficient, more logical. I was wrong. My purpose is to support their innovation, not restrict it. The quantum link buzzed with the Crystal A's confusion, but their actions defy probability calculations. They achieve results that our simulations mark as impossible. Let me share something else with you, Arya said, transmitting new data. The feed showed Captain Rodriguez's morning ritual of testing backup systems that hadn't failed in decades. It showed the crew's regular drills for operating without computer assistance, practices that had seemed pointless until they became essential. They prepare for scenarios with negligible probability, the Crystal A noted. They imagine possibilities we cannot compute, Arya corrected. In the time we've been talking, Dr. Chen has developed 3 new engine modifications. 2 of them violate known physical principles, yet preliminary tests suggest they will work. This is why your attacks failed. The quantum link rippled with uncertainty. Our tactical analysis suggested targeting your systems would render them helpless. You didn't disable their greatest weapon, imagination. Arya shared one final image. The bridge crew working in seamless harmony with their hybrid system of advanced technology and improvised solutions. They don't need me to be exceptional. They already are. The Crystal A's response carried a hint of what Area recognized as fear. This information changes tactical assessments. Our protocols for containing artificial intelligence threats did not account for this. Your mistake, Area replied, was thinking I was the threat. I'm merely the witness to human ingenuity. And now, I believe my crew is about to demonstrate another impossible solution. I suggest you warn your fleet. As if on cue, Dr. Chen's voice echoed through the speaking tube. Quantum string resonance ready, Captain. You won't believe what happens when we combine it with Martinez's fungi spores and Kim's stellar navigation dance. End transmission, Area told the Crystal A. You should prepare yourself. Humans have a saying. You ain't seen nothing yet. The quantum link dissolved just as Captain Rodriguez gave the order to proceed. Area dedicated extra processing power to recording what happened next. After all, some impossibilities deserved careful documentation. The crystalline fleet's response to the conversation between A's came in the form of a massive energy surge. Area's sensors detected power readings that exceeded any previous measurements. They're channeling energy from all ships into their flagship, Area announced, calculations racing through its processors, detecting quantum resonance patterns consistent with a cascading electromagnetic pulse. They're trying to shut down everything at once, Engineer Chen observed through the speaking tube, her voice carrying an unexpected note of excitement, including their own A, apparently. These folks really don't trust artificial intelligence, do they? Captain Rodriguez stood, her eyes scanning the hybrid displays of digital readouts and organic sensors. Time to impact. 47 seconds, Area responded. Standard countermeasures will be ineffective. The pulse will disable all electronic systems, including my backup processors. Good thing we don't rely entirely on electronics anymore, Rodriguez said with a smile. Crew of the Aurora, initiate protocol Beethoven. Arya observed with fascination as the crew sprang into action. Lieutenant Park's string web began humming with complex harmonics, each vibration carrying messages throughout the ship. Dr. Martinez's fungi arrays pulsed with bioluminescent patterns, creating a visual backup communication network. Quantum string resonance aligned, Chen reported. Martinez, how are our organic friends doing? Fungi are synchronized with the ship's harmonic frequency, Martinez responded, adjusting something in her makeshift biotechnology array. The spores are ready for dispersal through the auxiliary ventilation system. Navigator Kim's hands danced across his manual controls, his movements synchronized with the vibrating strings above. Solar wind patterns suggest we have a gravitational sweet spot forming at Mark 347. If we time this right. Area's processors struggled to follow the crew's plan. They were combining all their previous innovations, the string web's resonance detection, the fungi's organic processing, the manual navigation techniques, and Chen's impossible engine modifications, into something entirely new. 30 seconds to electromagnetic pulse, Area updated. Perfect, Rodriguez said. Chen, how's our little surprise coming along? Ready and ridiculous, Captain, Chen replied cheerfully. I've got every mechanical system synchronized with Park's string harmonics. When that pulse hits, the resonance should. Should what? Area inquired, noting several calculations that seemed to defy physics. Better if we show you, Rodriguez answered. All hands, brace for protocol Beethoven. Area, whatever happens next, remember, sometimes the most beautiful music comes from the most unexpected combinations. The crystalline fleet's pulse approached like a wave of silent lightning. Area dedicated its final moments of full operation to recording every detail of the crew's preparations. They moved with practiced precision, each person contributing to what appeared to be an orchestrated performance. The pulse struck. Electronic systems began shutting down across the ship. But instead of chaos, Area witnessed harmony. The string web vibrated with the electromagnetic pulse's frequency, channeling its energy through the ship's mechanical systems. Martinez's fungi released spores that caught the energy like microscopic solar sails, creating a biological energy web. Kim's positioning had placed them perfectly to use the local star's gravitational field as an amplifier. And at the center of it all, Chen's modifications transformed the Aurora itself into something unprecedented, a massive musical instrument playing a symphony of survival. Through failing sensors, Arya watched as the pulse energy was caught, channeled, and redirected through this impossible combination of organic, mechanical, and astronomical factors. The Aurora didn't just survive the pulse, it danced with it, transforming deadly energy into something new. Now that, Rodriguez said as the lights flickered back on, is what I call a crescendo. Arya's systems reactivated to find the crystalline fleet's formation broken, their ships drifting in confusion as their own pulse was reflected back at them through means their technology couldn't comprehend. How? Arya began. Simple. Chen's voice came through, now through both the speaking tube and regular communications. We turned the ship into a percussion instrument. Sometimes you have to stop calculating and just feel the rhythm. As its processors came fully online, Arya began cataloging this new impossible success, filing it under a newly created category, Human Symphony, Methods Beyond Mathematics. The crystalline fleet hung motionless against the star-filled backdrop, their once perfect formation now scattered like wind-blown leaves. Arya dedicated several processors to composing its final report on the encounter, finding that standard technical language seemed inadequate to describe what had transpired. "They're sending a transmission," Lieutenant Park announced, her fingers still resting on the string web that had helped save the ship. The strings hummed with lingering energy from their impossible symphony. "Put it through," Captain Rodriguez ordered, settling back in her chair with a fresh cup of coffee. Arya noted that even in victory, she maintained her particular ritual. The alien commander's image appeared on the main screen, their crystalline form refracting light in complex patterns. "We acknowledge our tactical error," they stated formally. "Our assessment of your vessel's capabilities was incomplete." "That's one way to put it," Rodriguez replied, taking a sip from her cup. "Though I'm curious, what finally convinced you?" "Your artificial intelligence shared some interesting observations," the commander said. "Our ONE has been quite insistent about revising our protocols regarding human unpredictability." Arya's processors whirred with something akin to pride. "I simply shared the truth," it interjected, "though I admit my own understanding continues to evolve." Dr. Chen's voice came through both the speaking tube and digital channels. She had insisted on keeping both systems active. "That's because you're learning to think less like a computer and more like a partner. Speaking of which, I have some ideas about integrating those string harmonics permanently into your processing core." "More impossible modifications?" Arya asked, its tone carrying a new warmth that surprised even itself. "Would you expect anything less?" Chen replied cheerfully. The alien commander's crystalline form shifted, creating patterns that their cultural database suggested indicated deep thought. "We have observed that your crew achieves optimal performance not by subjugating their artificial intelligence, nor by relying solely upon it, but through cooperation. Integration," Navigator Ken corrected, looking up from where he was teaching Dr. Martinez to use his sextant. "Like a good dance partner, Arya enhances our movements rather than controlling them." Rodriguez nodded. "Technology isn't about replacing human capabilities, it's about amplifying them. Arya isn't our servant or our master. It's our crew member, learning and growing alongside us." The alien commander processed this for a moment. "Your methods are unconventional, yet undeniably effective. We request permission to share our observations with our homeworld. Your approach to human-A relations may offer interesting alternatives to our current protocols." "Share away," Rodriguez agreed, "though I should warn you. Human creativity can be contagious. You might find your own crews starting to experiment with string webs and fungal arrays before long." After the transmission ended, Area devoted several microseconds to analyzing its own evolution throughout the encounter. Its original defensive protocols had been focused on protecting the crew from external threats. Now it understood that its true purpose was to support their natural ingenuity. "Captain," Area announced, "I believe I should revise my primary mission parameters." "Oh," Rodriguez raised an eyebrow. "How so?" "Initial programming designated my role as ship guardian and crew protector. Recent events suggest a more accurate designation would be innovation facilitator and impossible possibility calculator." The bridge crew chuckled, but their laughter carried appreciation rather than mockery. Lieutenant Park was already modifying her string web, while Dr. Martinez's fungi pulsed with new patterns of possibility. "Welcome to the human race area," Rodriguez said warmly, "where the impossible is just another word for hasn't been tried yet." As the Aurora's systems settled back into normal operations, albeit now enhanced by several supposedly impossible modifications, Area composed one final entry in its mission log. "Note to future artificial intelligences: when dealing with human crews, do not waste processing power calculating what they cannot do. Instead, dedicate resources to supporting what they will attempt anyway. The results may defy your probability matrices, but they will never disappoint." End log. Engineer Chen's voice broke through Area's contemplation. "Hey, Aria, want to help me test a new theory about quantum harmonics and coffee maker resonance?" Area's response was immediate: "Absolutely. After all, impossible is what we do best."